So, it's been an eventful week, boys.
Do tell.
Well, Christmas Eve was this past week. So, really dating this episode. And, I felt a little scratchy throat the night before. Woke up at 4 a.m. and it was really scratchy. And then went back to sleep. Woke up feeling pretty good, but just a little sluggish. I was like, I'm not feeling great. And tonight's Christmas Eve, so let's make sure we are fully prepared. We have COVID tests on lock. So I was just like, you know what, Grandma, I'm not feeling great today. Let's make sure it's not COVID so we can still do Christmas. So I do. I take the test, and it comes out hard positive. Like, I'm talking within a minute, both lines have fully shown up on the test. And I was like, oh, that's like a really positive. Because within 60 seconds, it said positive. Now, I didn't tell anyone this for about 10 minutes because I was pacing around the house like, oh, man, we got to cancel Christmas.
Well, yeah, this is like the plot to like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Yeah, I was like...
Sick for the holidays.
Christmas for New Year's.
A coronavirus Christmas.
A very corona... something like that.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that one wasn't good.
No.
So... Yeah, I'm pacing around the house for like 10 minutes. And then my grandma's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And she was like, what happened? She was like, no, it wasn't. And I was like, it was. And so we look at the test. It is 100% positive. And she goes, all right, you're going to have to be in that room again. Because I was sick like 2 months ago with the flu. And I locked myself in this room that we're sitting in here right now for days, like on end, just laying here and on the couch and the other, like right next to us, and just sweating and dying. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in the room again. So I walked in the room and I didn't leave it for about 4 or 5 days. I mean, I walked out to get like water and stuff, but every time I touched something, I had to spray it and wipe it down because I live with more elderly people who are immunocompromised and I don't want them to die. So every time I did something, I wiped it down. If I even came within like 30 feet of them, I had a mask on the whole time I was in the house. We were super careful. And in that time, I played about 33 hours of Cyberpunk 2077 because I was only really sick for about 8 hours. Because, yeah, I had texted you guys. I was like, yeah, just kind of feeling like I got a cold, been playing games all day. And then the next day comes and I have a 101 fever. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to be really sick on like death's door. And then a couple hours later, I felt fine again. I took a nap. By the time I woke up from my nap, I felt better.
Just slept it off. Easy peasy.
Yeah, that's some hard bullshit right there. Because when I got COVID, it was not good, and I was out of commission, full fever, on death's door, like you mentioned.
Remember, this is my second rodeo, though.
Only your second rodeo?
This is my second rodeo, and I'm vaccinated and boosted.
Yeah.
So I had about 8 hours where I didn't feel great. Because I was in the middle of playing Cyberpunk and I was like, I think now's the time when I need to start laying down. So I get up from my chair, I go lay down, fever hits. I'm like, oh great, this is how it's gonna be the next couple of days. I lay there, I take a nap. First of all, I take some ibuprofen because I'm starting to get the big fever. Fall asleep, I wake up drenched in sweat, fever's broken, and by the time I get up, by the time the next morning rolls around, I'm feeling 85, 90%. And so then I sat and played Cyberpunk for 2 more days because I was hard positive for 2 more days. And that's what I want to talk about here at the beginning of the podcast because I already told you a little bit about my experience with Cyberpunk. 2077, in case anyone was confused.
Yeah, not the classic tabletop RPG, which reasonable for you to be confused, one guy. And
which is set in 2020, in 2022, 2023. The timeline of the game is 2077, but you have flashbacks to Johnny Silverhand in 2022 and 2023. So it's crazy being in 2022 and you flash back to times in the game and signs say 2023, 2020, and I'm like, oh, this is insane, because the world is crazy there. Keanu Reeves crushes it. I actually can't wait for the DLC to come out now, with Idris Elba. I think it's Idris Elba that's going to be in the DLC.
Sounds good to me. We have Keanu Reeves. I really don't need anybody else beyond that. I feel like I'm okay with Keanu Reeves.
So yeah, very buggy game. There's a lot of like little silly bugs that I plan to show you guys later today, and then there's a lot of like, but the moments that matter, like they hit hard. Where like I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm kind of enveloped in this story right now, and I kind of don't want to stop, so I'm gonna keep playing and keep trucking along. So I like the game a lot. It's chill, and that's what I did the whole time I was sick, was just play Cyberpunk 2077.
I would like to give the game a chance, even just a second glance at all, because when it came out, it was so hyped that I didn't want to touch any of the gameplay. I wanted to see what it was all about. I was willing to like buy the game, and then it came out. Everyone hated on it within 24 hours. This game was trash.
Broken. I've seen the clips.
No one liked it. So I would actually like to just try it, even just like for a few minutes, just to see what it's like. Because I haven't seen any of the gameplay whatsoever. I'm completely in the blind. I think I saw like the opening trailer, but that was about it.
I actually think it might be a game you'd be a little bit into, just because the gameplay is fun. It is not the game that they promised us for sure, where there's like you do some crazy like wall runs and jump down to like murderize somebody with your cool blade arms. There are cool blade arms and stuff, but like I was telling you guys earlier, it feels like, you know, Cyberpunk Skyrim. But just a beefier version of it because it's a 2021 game or 2020 game instead of a 2011 game. So it's good. I've enjoyed my time with it. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it really just goes to show you how difficult these games are to make. Where, you know, it's a Herculean feat anytime a studio releases a game at all. And to say, all right, let's do that, but also it's going to be massive and, you know, packed full to the brim with, you know, all these specific scenarios and dialogue. And it's a wonder games are made at all. So, you know, it's a shame what happened to Cyberpunk. But the fact that we've got, you know, Red Dead 2 and, you know, even GTA 5 or Skyrim or, you know, any of those huge, massive games. I mean, yeah, there's jank that comes with all of that, but it's par for the course.
Well, the reason it was so hated on isn't because it was a buggy and not great game. Like, it was not a polished game, but we expect extremely polished games from CD Projekt Red.
Of course.
They made The Witcher 3, which is, I would say, more dense than Cyberpunk and has more dialogue, more stuff going for it. Now, Night City is beautiful. It's like in Cyberpunk, it's beautiful. It's gigantic. Like, I'm driving around, but the really cool part is I do identify with it because I'm in a city and I'm starting to learn said city because I'll be walking around in it, I'll be riding a motorcycle around in it, and like I'll see a street and be like, I know that street, and I'm like, I know what's here. Turn down it, like I got a mission in this area, I'm gonna go do it. So it feels like a real city, which is cool. But yeah, that whenever CD Projekt Red announced it, they were like, hey, these are the ambitions we're going for. You can follow any one of these NPCs and see their lives going on. Like, this is a moving, bustling city, and it's alive. And now, in the way that I'm playing the game, it feels like that, because I'm not following NPCs to their homes. But some people did, because they legitimately said that when they were releasing the game. And so a lot of people were like, yeah, we'll follow the NPCs and see what they're up to. And they did, and the NPCs were walking around corners and disappearing. Because that's what happens in most video games. Like, you're not supposed to follow the NPCs. But they said that about the game. Like, these people are living their lives. You'll be able to see them walk home and, like, do all this stuff. And when CD Projekt Red says something, you listen. Because they make really amazing games. And I will say, this game is an amazing, like, 8 out of 10 experience. But it's not the 10 out of 10 that they told us about. And I'm down to play an 8 out of 10. I just played 33 hours of it because I loved it. I thought the characters are amazing. Like, they're so well acted and fleshed out, and they feel like real ass people. Like, I can't get over how the conversations with the characters, I'm making enough dialogue choices like that matter. Your character has a distinct voice, so like you're talking back and forth to these NPCs. The world feels very real, and they don't explain it to you. They throw you into Cyberpunk and expect you to just kind of get the dialogue. When all the characters are calling each other choom the entire time, you have no clue what choom means. And it's not a derogatory term. This is their, like, dude. So, like,
oh,
yeah, they call each other chooms for, like, friend. Or they'll call him that as, like, a goon. They'll be like, oh, yeah, that choom. You know?
That's so funny.
It's cool. It's like they have a whole, like, they have written out an entire, like, society, and they just expect you to walk in and understand it. Like, there's not, like, hookers, there's joy toys. You know,
joy toys.
That's the thing. That's what they call them. and
Seems very a Clockwork Orange, which was just a nightmare to read. Especially the film's better about it, but like because they throw in like all this fucking slang of like this alternate world. Wild.
Yeah, there's they call these certain subsect of women dolls, and they do that because they have a certain chip in them. So that way people I'm sure that the men in the world can do it too. I haven't seen any examples in the game. But they have like a certain chip in them that allows for another person to like control them. So
no, that's yucky.
Right. So like there's a distinct scene, no spoilers involved, where an NPC comes to talk to you and you're like, why is that? Like you recognize the person because you've seen them somewhere, but you don't know their name, you don't know anything about them. They're just one of the random like Joy Toys on the street. And they come and talk to you and you're like, why are you talking to me? Like you don't have anything to do with the plot here. And then all of a sudden their eyes start glowing and they're like, hey, just give me 1 second. They're like, I'm sure it'll happen any moment. And then all of a sudden their body's taken over and you're talking to a distinct important NPC and you're like, oh, this is what's happening. It's well acted, it's well shot, and it's really cool. Like to be to have scenes like that distinctly like express the world that you're in. Because a lot of times you'll play a game that's like very techy, you'll play a game like that, and it's like our world, but they have laser guns instead. Or something like that.
That's our brand of D&D, to be fair, is, it's fantasy, but it's everyone talks like we talk because we're not, unless there's a particular, Sir Geico, huzzah, forthwith, but, like that's...
Oi.
Exactly. That's not the norm, for sure.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see a world that, like, actually lets you dive into it. Which it's cool. You exploring Night City, like I don't regret a single hour in that game because I think it was well worth it. It just took a really long time to learn it and understand it. Like at first I'm kind of like, what the heck is going on? I did watch the Cyberpunk anime on Netflix, which is a banger. But yeah, it was pretty good. I gotta say, pretty good game. I gotta finish it. I left the main story plot at 90% completed so I could do other stuff around it.
Okay.
I got it to 90% and then started doing a bunch of other stuff because I was like, oh, I know there's like 3 or 4 different endings to the game and it depends on like if you've done other stuff going on. So I'm talking to all the side NPCs. I know the game can take you like 100 hours if you do all the side quests and stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I don't want to play anything that long
No, you
yet,
can
but
just play
I
the main story if
I
you
do
want.
want to dive in really, really bad.
Yeah, and just say hi to Pan Am for me. She's my boo.
Oh, is she?
Best written character in the game. I think. Like
Okay.
She's well written and acted to where I'm like, it just kind of feels like a real person. Like everybody feels like a real person in the game. But then there's certain comic relief characters that like irritate me because I think the world is at its best when it's serious.
Okay. It kind of makes me feel like it gives me like a Red Dead 2 sort of vibe where there's a lot to explore, but there's definitely that learning curve because you kind of need to know where all the towns are at. You're riding your horse around for like 30 hours trying to get to these different towns. Like, oh, I made a wrong turn. And you guys do the map, but then if you don't, it's terrible. But beautiful game. I loved getting immersed into it. You meet a lot of really cool characters and not quite to the cyberpunk expectations, but you can follow people around and they do cool shit. Like they'll get into little bar fights at the saloon, or do something like some kidnapper will come over and try to like take people. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's knocking Red Dead 2 for its immersion. I feel like that's the game where everyone said, "Wow, this is a little too immersive."
Yeah, would you like to play a Western? We have
I would,
one for you.
I would play Red Dead 3 right now. If they announce it, I'll pre-buy it.
I think a lot of people would.
what
I've
a good
never
game.
played a Red Dead game.
No?
No.
Neither
Not even
have I.
the first one's so good, Seth.
Are they on Game Pass?
I literally cried at
consider
the
it.
end of Red Dead 1.
Yeah, I mean, I cried at the end of God of War Ragnarok.
Well, when you say Red Dead 1, do you mean Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Revolver? which
No,
is
not Red Dead
apparently
Revolver.
a
I never
unique
actually
game.
played Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah.
Red
No
Dead
one did.
Redemption 1, though? Red Dead Redemption 1 was... I'm not going to say anywhere near Last of Us, obviously, but like I remember the ending of Red Dead 1 constantly, and I think about it. It is a very, very cool moment. Hell of a game. Seriously fucking play it if you can.
I think I'll be thinking about the end of God of War Ragnarok for a while. I wasn't thinking about it. I told you guys in the episode, I was like, yeah, it was just a nice, fun story. And then there was like a 10-minute epilogue that I finished, and then the credits, like, because, I told you at the end, like, you do it does a like little credits flash while you walk thing. And then a couple of characters are like, hey, you could come do this. Yo, you could come do that. Also, this thing's happening. And they kind of put one of those things in front of you. And it's like, oh, well, that seems like it'll be pretty quick. And then it is pretty quick. It's like 10 minutes of dialogue and cutscene between a couple of characters, and then a really sad thing happens, and then a certain character just like does a thing, and the credits start rolling, and then Blood Upon the Snow by Hosier starts playing, which because he wrote a song for God of War Ragnarok. That's why he was at the Game Awards singing it.
Yeah.
And it's that song Blood Upon the Snow, and I was like, I haven't heard that song. I don't know where it's coming from. It hits hard after this moment. It hit at that moment, and I'm like, all of my feelings overtake me, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh no.
Beans.
Yeah, it was like amazing, good. It's still a great ending. And then that epilogue hits, and it's like, whoa, oh my god.
Would you say this end song is Christmassy, perhaps? Do you think it could be used in a Christmas one-off?
Are you really trying to traumatize Seth for
Yes.
our Christmas one-off?
Absolutely.
We'll be playing tomorrow.
That'll be
Yeah,
the opening
maybe,
song.
Actually.
Now, I didn't tell you guys, we're actually starting off where God of War Ragnarok ends. We're actually picking up there.
Good. Well, I'm glad
I wasn't
you.
going to tell you guys that Santa was in the game.
Oh man, see,
That's
I
actually
want
a
to play
good
the
idea.
game.
I'm not gonna lie. That's a good idea to like open up with retelling the story of how we killed Santa, and it's just Blood Upon the Snow by Hosier playing.
I mean, I haven't sent you my playlist yet.
I can pull it up and play it for you after this, and you can give it a listen. It's
That'll
pretty
be
good.
that'll be the watch together afterwards and during the
Yeah.
post show.
Yeah. Okay, I like that. Anyways, guys, welcome to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where we are going to be diving into the wild world of monster types. We're talking aberrations, humanoids, dragons, etc.
Yeah.
Undead. You know, I got a bunch. I can name them all. Right?
That's all of
Easy
them right
peasy.
there.
Yeah, I mean, keep going.
I bet you couldn't, Zach.
No, we'll put you on the spot while I'm pulling this up.
Fae and
Faye.
devils.
Devils.
Demons.
Did you say fiends?
Fiends.
Oh,
Fiends?
Fiends is a monster type in itself.
What are celestials? Did we say
Celestials,
celestials?
that's one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, beasts, aberrations, celestials, fae, fiends, elementals.
Oh,
You're really good at
Undead.
this, Zach. It's like you have a list.
You know, I'm not even reading off of it because it won't pull up. Anyway, humanoids, constructs, and maybe that's all of them.
And good. Yeah, so there are a bunch of different creature types in the game, kind of designating what each individual creature is related to, where they come from, you know, what their lineage is. I don't have any like off the top of my head thoughts, so I wanted to, since you guys put this topic in front of me, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on the creature types.
So first of all, there's too many creature types.
Are there?
There should be humans.
Monstrosities! We didn't say monstrosities. Okay, continue.
Right. I feel like when I think creature type, I immediately go to humanoid, and I'm constantly confused over what is humanoid and what's not. I feel like it's anything with like the human-like appendages.
Yeah,
But-
bipedal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think of, but I feel like I never know, and I feel like giants are humanoids, but giants aren't really humanoids.
Well, they're giants.
Yeah, but they're
Giants,
still...
and we didn't mention giants.
We didn't
either.
mention giants.
Or oozes, or plants.
Ooze. Oh, plasmoids. Okay, but for real though, I always get confused when I'm thinking about humanoids because I'm never sure what it affects. Right? I think about there's two spells that affect was like dominate person versus dominate monster, or hold person versus hold monster. I get confused. Like, can I use this? I don't know. Does it work backwards? Can I use the higher level one, the monster, on humanoids or vice versa? I never know. So I feel like I'm constantly referring to things as humanoids and non-humanoids. I'm never quite sure.
I don't know. I think you're making it more complicated than it is, because I have never, as the DM, had a problem with with remembering a creature type. The only thing that messes me up is when I have to distinguish between a character that's a devil and a demon, because in the different monster manuals, all the various ones, they'll show a creature that I'm like, that's a devil. Look at that guy. That just rapscallion. Orcus, for instance. I look at him every time and I'm like, look at that devil, that rapscallion. He's a demon. And so
He's a demon lord.
yeah, he's a demon lord. And so I mix those up, especially running a hell campaign. I've got to remember that most of the things in hell are fiends, but a large majority of them are devils, because the devils are keeping the demons in the abyss so they don't take over the material plane.
Or Yugoloths. Or other. Like
Yeah.
night hags and shit.
Yeah, and those are like all kinds of different ones. And yeah, I gotta say, when it comes to fiends, like I don't like whatever a Yugoloth is. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, what is that? I'm never gonna remember.
I don't know.
I just consider them demons or devils.
Well, the way that I think about it, and I think they sort of explain it sort of like this in the DMG or the Monster Manual
Whatever
or
you're gonna
somewhere.
say it's wrong.
But so whatever I'm pulling out of my ass right now, I read about it somewhere. But anyway, so I mean, you could think about it based on like the alignment chart. All devils, lawful evil. Demons, chaotic evil. But Yugoloths, they're neutral evil. They're sort of like the militiamen, which, you know, can be swayed to either side of the blood war sort of to suit their needs. But most of them are like mercenaries that rise out of the sticks for, you know, one reason or another, and they sort of, you know, pick sides. But there are no, you know, there aren't any arch Yugoloths or, you know, like master Yugoloths. They're, you know, they're a tool for one end or the other, basically.
I thought Yugoloths were those yellow trees. What are those yellow trees?
No, those
things?
are yokels, and they're demons.
Oh, those are demons. Okay, so completely missed. I have a complaint about fiends then. I think there's too many of them.
Yeah, I agree that fiends confuse me because when I think of a fiend, they all are the same. Especially, like I've been running a devil-based campaign for going on our 3rd year in a couple of days. So, yeah, and I still get confused on them all the time. Like, I've had Mezzoloths there, and they're just neutral evil beings that were used as tools for Zariel.
But they're still devil demons, right?
No, they're Yugoloths.
They're their own thing?
Correct. Yeah.
Well,
just
I mean,
like
like you.
What's you know, I won't say her name, but what's a night hag? They're fiends.
They're fiends,
not,
yeah.
They're not fae, but they're not devils or demons either. They're their own thing.
So does fiendish encompass all of that? I always assumed it did, but I never thought about what the fact whether or not a demon was.
Yeah,
fiendish.
yeah.
Fiend
and even
means like originating in hell, basically.
more or less,
Okay.
or you know the
lower planes.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's you know, there are multiple. You know, there's the 9 hells, the abyss, whatever. But there's, you know, the positive planes, which are associated with celestials, and then the negative planes that are associated, or the lower planes that are associated with, fiends. So any number of things can come from the lower planes.
Can I say something else about fiends before we go on to a different creature type? I didn't understand. I ran Descent into Avernus, and I never understood directly what the Blood War meant. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, to me, it was just like an endless combat between devils and demons because the demons wanted to like take over the devil's territory or whatever. I didn't understand that basically what the hierarchy means of the 9 hells and like why they're needed is because the devils there are combating against these demons and basically holding the line so that the demons don't come up to the material plane.
Yeah.
Because the demons will overwhelm whatever's on the material plane. So that's why there's a 9 hells. Now, the way that your 9 hells is arranged can be, you know, whatever. Anybody can be the hierarchy of it. There could be any kinds of like promotions and whatever. It doesn't matter. But what has to remain is the devils have to fight the demons.
Oh, okay. So I've never really thought of the demons as like the bad guys because devils are still bad. That does kind of bring it more into perspective. I always thought of it as like a balance sort of a thing where, you know, we have the overworld that's obviously good and righteous and blah, 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 blah. And then we have the evil underdark with the hell and the demons and the devils and all that kind of stuff. And so there's always more evil, right? There was always this raging war, but they were always kind of, you know, at each other's throats. So I always thought it was the concept that on the overworld or on the good side, right, you always had to be working together and you had to be like prepping for it because at any point, if all of them decided to switch sides, you have to like balance it out with good and evil sort of a vibe. I guess maybe it's a little more poetic than it was supposed to be, but if that's the case, if they are eternally battling and keeping the demons down, wouldn't it be bad to end the Blood War? Would that be a bad thing?
Well, not if you seal them away or something. Like if you kill them so hard that they can't come back.
Yeah, I think the devils aren't fighting the war to fight it forever. They want to kill the demons so that they're no longer in conflict with them. Because demons are so uncontrollable and chaotic, they're not a useful tool, in the eyes of whomever, Asmodeus, the devils. because law and chaos don't mix.
So the devils, their end goal is to get to the demon spawning area, right?
Their
and
spawn
spawn
point.
trap them.
Yeah, spawn camp them.
So basically, the best
Well, that's
devils
what- they're
are
basically doing
YY
that.
no scope quick scoping motherfuckers that want to kill these
Yeah.
guys.
No,
I love
no,
that.
they're just breaking all the Minecraft spawners. In the,
Oh, that makes
They're
sense.
filling up the
caves.
wall with obsidian and letting them hit it until they break a block, and then when they get through again, they just seal it back up.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, I figured that out recently because I was doing some research on the Nine of Hells for no reason. And I was like, that's why there's a blood war? Because they talk about it so much in the books, but they never explain, like, this is why all of this is happening. They just say, run a campaign in Avernus and say blood war a lot.
Yeah, you guys know the Blood War. Enough said.
Oh, don't ask questions.
I imagine just like the Keyblade situation. Keyblade, darkness.
Darkness.
Hearts.
Keyblade.
But before we move on, I do want to say, because I know we're talking a lot about fiends here, but they're still very much so, I think, my favorite. I know Seth and I have talked about this once or twice. There's so many of them, which is also my biggest grope with them. There's just too many of them.
Not
Grope.
grape.
Grope them. No, it's grope.
No, that's my biggest
it's grope.
grope.
It's
My
grope.
biggest grape.
My biggest grape. My juiciest grape with them.
I like that.
Gross.
But I do love them. They're very flavorful. They're easy to kind of visualize as a player. What I don't like about them, and we've touched on this, is that there's so many of them. I constantly get confused which one's which. I know we talked with Yugoloths already, but to this day, we have fought Barb Devils more times than not. I know we've done a
Bearded
ton of
devils,
times. Bearded
mostly.
Devils. I know there's Chain Devils. There's Spine Devils. I don't know what any of them look like. I just imagine like this default red T-posed avatar, and we say like Horn Devil. Like, oh, he's got horns. Oh, he's got wings on him. You know, like that's
Well,
what I
they
imagine.
all look very distinct.
Yeah, what did I buy all these minis for if you're not going to look at them?
Oh, I look at them, but I don't know which ones are which. I don't know which ones they are.
I say this one's like this bearded devil moves. This is
There's
your
two.
fault.
Seth,
It's-
there's two.
no.
This is a Drew
This is
problem.
your fault. We have minis for all of these, and I have used all of them.
But I'm scared to look at the names because what if it spoils something?
I say it out loud.
But
I say
Seth, I
these
can't.
bearded devils, and I point. And I pick it up, and I say the bearded devil moves in and kills Pyth.
You
have
see
killed-
the one with the beard? Yeah, it's a bearded devil.
The ones with the spines, those are the spine devils. The ones that have chains around them, they're the chain devils. Drew, this is your fault. This is not the game's fault.
I blame Wizard of the Coast for not giving me a very clear infographic of which devil's which.
Don't let me forget. I do want to bring up something at the end of the podcast after we're done talking about this about Wizards of the Coast and like stuff that's been going on. Because there is news.
Is the
So
OGL?
let's talk. Yeah, we'll talk about news at the end. But let's get back to creature types. I want to talk about my favorite creature type really quick, which is just dragons. I mean, they're easy to understand. You know what a dragon is. Like, come on, look at it. And
at him.
it's the easiest to understand. It's it's a label for the game, and I feel like they haven't broadened it so much to where it's hard to swallow the pill. Like even when you see a draconian, which was not needed in the game, or like an Abishai, you know these are dragon people. Like you know these are, which Abishai might be fiends.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that you mention it, but I'm pretty sure draconians also aren't the dragon type. I'm pretty sure they're monstrosities.
No, they're not. Oh, that would make sense in the lore, but like I don't like it.
And then Abishai are definitely fiends.
You know what? There need to be more. The dragon people need to be included in the dragons. That's what I want to say.
Well, yeah. So my whole point for posing this topic for us to talk about was just I think that there's, you know, especially in 5e, I don't know how older editions did it, and obviously we're talking about 5e. You've listened to the show by now. There's just a lot of creatures that could like fall one way or the other. And so I'm curious because there have been a few interesting choices in Monsters of the Multiverse in particular where I'm like, that makes sense. I wonder what 1D&D is going to do with these creature types because, or not even Monsters of the Multiverse. We're seeing a lot of, player character races, which for the longest time, we have only, player characters are only allowed to be humanoids. Mm-hmm. But in Monsters of the Multiverse, there's been a significant number of these creatures, which are now Fae. Centaurs are now considered Fae. Satyrs are now Fae. Fairies, Fae, but that's obvious. Changelings also used to be humanoids. Now they're fae. I almost feel like changelings ought to be like aberrations to sort of like tie them closer to doppelgangers. But in any case, also
I see them
fae.
as fae people. Like, I see them as people who like live in the woods and change their look and shape depending on when they run into travelers and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely works. But interestingly enough, and I mentioned earlier today that goblins were also fae, but that's not the case. They have fae ancestry, but they're still considered humanoids.
I see them as fae.
Yeah, I'm in the team. Make goblins fae now, please, because there are few enough fae as it is, but they're just a very cool creature type. Fairy folk. And what's closer to a fairy than a goblin? I mean, a lot of things, but
Most things, but
well,
sprite.
yes, sprites, pixies. All right, get them out of there. What's next? Goblins.
Throw away all the other similar creatures. Look at only this one.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I also like that in Spelljammer we have like the autognomes, which I believe are constructs.
Yeah,
we have the plasmoids, which are oozes.
Yeah, which we have these new races. The interesting thing about this is, particularly with constructs, because there's been, for a long time, people were wanting Warforged in the game. We were, Unearthed Arcana were going back and forth. Are they constructs? Are they humanoids? Finally, they come out in Eberron, and they're humanoids. But now we have autognomes who are constructs and have a special...
Warforged are 100% constructs.
Yeah. So autognomes have a special feature. They're it's like a healing machine or whatever they call it, where they have certain healing spells that affect them. Because I don't know how much you all know about healing spells, but most of them have wording included that they specifically don't affect undead or constructs. So I think that's an interesting approach to make that work. But at this point, I'm just so disappointed that they didn't put Warforged under that category.
And having player characters that are of different like creature types, like a construct, allows for one rule that's actually in there, that a construct can have mending cast on it, and they can use a hit die to heal. So you get a lot of use from hit dies if you can cast mending. So, for instance, my character I'm going to be playing tomorrow is a construct. He's an autognome, and he can cast mending. So, if I need to heal myself for free in this one-off, all I do is cast Mending, use my D12 hit die.
Is that how
D10
that works
hit
for autognomes? You can cast Mending on them?
Yeah. You
That's
can
cool.
you can cast Mending, and you're able to expend a hit die if you'd like.
Yeah, that's not true for all constructs. I mean, your DM can do what your DM wants, but I know...
Yeah, that's just a trait that that the autognome has, which I was very pleased with when I saw it. I was like, that's nice. Like, I'm going to be healing for days. Got my lay on hands, and I can heal myself with Mending.
I love anything that lets you use your hit dice. I feel like it's just such an
no one uses them ever.
Yeah, well, you
Or,
don't
like,
often
you
get the
might
short
get a
rest,
short rest.
but even if you do, that's just not like the go-to thing. You might cast or Vitality, or have like Prayer of Healing, something else going on, right? It's just they're not super used, and if you use them, you don't use them all. You use a couple of them.
Yeah, there were probably some rules in editions or like earlier in 5e that like I didn't read or like we didn't get too much into that, keep you from like make it so player characters need to be humanoids, but that not being the case, and hopefully not being the case when 1D&D comes out in a few years, I hope that we can just find common ground to where these all of these races have their own ancestry, because most of them aren't from the material plane. Like humans are from the material plane, giants are from the material plane. Like all of these things originate like from this era, which they there could be arguments for the giants or whatever. I'm just speaking words. But yeah, a lot of them do derive from opposite planes. Maybe if I want to play a Shatter Kai, I should be some sort of Fae because I'm from the Shadowfell. Or does Shadowfell count as Fae?
I mean,
I
no,
think so.
but I mean, I agree. It's muddy because they're elves, so they are fae.
Eladrin. I'll just say Eladrin instead.
Yeah. In any case, I think the interesting question that this poses, though, from a design perspective, is obviously we have all these features that are specific to this only works on humanoids. We've mentioned hold person, but there are spells that you don't even necessarily think that would only affect humanoids that do, like calm emotions. So, for instance, if you have a character who wants to cast calm emotions on your plasmoid, party member, they are nonplussed by that with the current rule set. I think, or I'm interested to see where we're going with this, because I agree that autognome definitely should be a construct. Plasmoid should definitely be an ooze. I'd like to extend that to Goliath should probably have the giant type, and Firbolgs should also have the giant type.
Yeah, would it not be insane for your Plasmoid to, like, if they put humanoid for a Plasmoid and that Plasmoid then just, like, changes their shape to look like a tiger all the time? Like, that would be so insane for them to be like, oh yeah, that's a humanoid creature. So yeah, it doesn't make sense for them to call them that.
I'm kind of blown away that I think I just found out for the first time that Goliaths aren't considered giant typed. I had always just assumed it. I've played Goliaths before, and I felt, I'm a baby giant. I'm here. I'm doing barbarian things. I had assumed I had the giant typing. That's kind of nuts to not have that. That's weird.
No, I knew they were considered humanoid, but like, yeah, they should have giant lineage, or maybe in the future we'll see some that like Goliath that let you choose which creature type you are, or maybe there will be like dual types. Like,
yeah, which we have seen some interesting wording as well in Monsters of the Multiverse. They say things like, as a goblin, you are a humanoid, but you also count as a goblinoid for features that require you to be a goblinoid. I don't know of any features that require you to be a goblinoid yet. So yeah, I'm curious what the specification is there.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get something that's like, hey, plasmoids or even elves like who might be from the Feywild and are Fey, goblins, creatures like that. Maybe they will also count like, hey, you are a construct for an autognome, but traits but you also count as a humanoid because you are like a human shaped and you have a psyche and a conscience and everything. You also count as a humanoid creature.
Yeah, I like that approach, and that would also solve for like Dragonborn. You're a humanoid, but you also have the dragon creature type.
Right.
You're a tiefling. You're a humanoid, but you also have the fiend creature type. Aasimar, you have the celestial type.
Because realistically, these are humanoid. Like they do look and act and move like they're bipedal, and they move and act like everyone else. So yeah, I think that them counting as humanoid does make sense. Like you listing a goblin as humanoid isn't what bothers me. It's that you didn't also list them as Fey that bothers me.
Yeah, and maybe there's a good reason for that, because when we think about humanoid races, it's sort of like the fantasy races that we can all agree are more or less like people.
Dwarf, halfling,
but when we include goblins in there and we include orcs in there, which are typically considered to be fantasy monsters, then we think, oh well, these are peoples with societies, and so like it sort of puts that thinking in there. Obviously you wouldn't want to like put an orc under the monstrosity column where all the other creatures are mindless sacks of hit points. So I'm sure there's some intentionality behind that as well, but at the same time, this dual typing I think is an elegant solution for that as well.
Yeah.
See, when you say dual typing, though, I think we're going to get to the point where D&D is essentially just Pokemon. Like, I'm an ooze, I'm super effective against elves. And so you go to fight the elf, but you do double damage.
We don't have that now.
But I love that idea, though.
No, I hate that idea, actually.
Well, no, Fey are weak to iron type or steel type, I guess.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I hate it.
I will say, there's one time this has come up, and I ran a Tiefling Ranger one time in one of my games, and this was for 30, 40 sessions or so of a campaign. So I don't know if she counted as Tiefling. I'd have to check the player handbook. I had always assumed, or not Tiefling, as a fiend, right? So I had always assumed that Tieflings counted as fiends, similar to the Goliaths, right? So if anyone ever used Divine Sense or Primal Awareness, anything like that, I always said they sensed the Ranger nearby. Every time. So
yeah.
I had always assumed because that's their bloodline, right? The same way
I think
it says an Aasimar, right? Or an Aasimar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's like a flavorful way to do that. But here comes the question. Does the Paladin get the extra D8 on their Divine Smite against the Tiefling? The rules say no, and I'd be inclined to agree if you're at a table.
I would be inclined
where
to
PvP is common.
Yeah, I would be inclined to say no as well. Be like, hey, I did this for flavor. Like, your Divine Sense works on them because they have blood in them that makes them fiendish. But no, you don't. When you hit them, they are not a fiend. They're not a full-blooded they're not a chaotic evil demon or a lawful evil devil.
Right. But so there's the question as well. How does if we have this dual typing, we say tieflings are now humanoids and fiends. I'd say, rules as written unless we get some specific wording.
Now it does work.
Yeah, in Divine Smite, now it does. I don't necessarily dislike that. It's just an interesting question.
Or Divine Smite changes to where it works slightly different.
Yeah, it only works on not your friends.
Yeah, it has to be an enemy. It can't be an ally. Or like when you're hitting it.
Right. But if you're, at a table where PvP is common, the paladin always has that upper hand against the tiefling player. Which,
right. I don't hate that.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't hate that either because I don't think PvP is a fun way to play D&D. But
no. It's fun every now and then for certain cases. Like if a scenario comes up where, like for when Sean ran his 6-off first session and he used that to like, hey, what are you guys going to do? Are you actually going to hurt each other right at the beginning? And the idea was for us to like, ally each other, but us playing our characters didn't really do that quite like right off the bat. So
or even we were in the tournament and Oswin and Nuth had to go head to head and it was super dramatic.
Yeah, just briefly.
Yeah,
that that stupid fight where we were supposed to go against each other definitely wasn't a Kumbaya moment, as Chase natural 20'd you and almost killed you.
I was down to like 4 hit points in an instant.
That was so good.
I also felt really cool in that scenario, because I had my cool moment of like flying in the air and like cackling and like witch bolting the ground, and then you got your cool moment of like pulling me back down to the ground. Yeah, very very cool moments. So
PvP can be cool.
PvP can be cool, but I also think it takes a certain type of player to make it cool.
Yeah.
I don't think it's cool because every time we get to a new party, like everyone wants to fight each other. Like I made this really cool, really strong character. You're never gonna beat me, and they do, because it's not that hard, kid.
Yeah, sometimes shit just happens too. Like we had our wizard duels at the start of our Harry Potter arc. My character I cast Conjure Elemental, and that absolutely destroys pretty much any mage if you can't like stop it from getting off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Chase, man. Kick the shit out of him with that elemental. Oh. That was a good little scenario though. I'm not the biggest. I know it's not a PvP episode, but I do enjoy a little dabble of PvP here and there. We joked about the Tiefling versus Paladin thing, but the Ranger I mentioned, there was actually a Paladin in the group, and there definitely was infighting amongst the party, which was always interesting because it was very like Celestial versus Fiend sort of a situation. But it's always fun to have the players prove themselves a little bit to each other. Or
I think it's fun to introduce a character that way too. Mm-hmm. Like in my first campaign I ran, when 2 of the characters met each other in session 2. The first thing they did was antagonize one another and fight, and then they both were like, the fight went pretty neutrally to where the both of them were like, all right, dude, you're cool. They like broed it up. We're like, yeah, we tussled a little bit. Now we like each other. It was a good moment.
That was pretty cool.
Now, what I will say when it comes to creature types, in general, I find that some are really cool, and then others just I don't care about at all. Like I think undead are some of the coolest creatures in the game.
Well, yeah, and we didn't get the chance, or I didn't get the chance to say it before, but undead are definitely my favorite creature type.
Oh, yeah, 100%. They're cool. I think undead are some of the coolest because the intelligent undead are the ones that scare me. Your liches, your vampires, like those are the ones that are like, oh, you get chills down your spine thinking about them.
Well, not even just that, but imagine, you see this all the time, just the evil necromancer with an army of skeletons or zombies or whatever. Okay, sure. Each one of those is a, CR 1/2 creature. Not all that dangerous, but when you actually end up in that situation where you've got a horde of zombies coming after you and each one you knock down, they have a chance to get right back up. That's a big problem. Even for, I can imagine a, maybe not level 20. At that point, you've got someone who can cast Meteor Swarm. But for high-level parties, a whole zombie outbreak, still a big problem.
Which that is the cool part about them. But the problem I have with them, undead are definitely one of the cooler options. The problem I have with undead is they're cheating. They cheat. They're a cheating creature type. And you know why? Because it makes me think of like a Skynet situation, like in the Terminator, right? You can't use AI to take over the world. That's cheating. We have computers. We have cell phones in our pocket all the time. These zombies or these necromancers could just raise up your dead pets out of the backyard. They could go to a graveyard and instantly have a posse with them that follows them around.
But
they cheat.
But they're puppets.
I know, but it's too scary. It gets real scary really fast. And when I'm going up against a situation where there's undead at play, I never know what to expect, because I feel like at any given time I'm thinking classic necromancer. He's just going to raise his hand and 4 undead giants are going to pull their way out of the street. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. They're too scary.
What sucks is I've played some villains that are really cool. That, you know, if one of you guys was to die, they could immediately like raise you guys back up. But I've never killed you in those moments, and it would suck too. You know, a lot of the creatures you guys fought in hell had abilities like that, where it's like, yeah, if this creature gets you down to 0 hit points with an attack, they can immediately turn you back on your friends as like a zombie or something. Like, you die instantly and you become that. Then they have to kill you again and revivify you.
But does that work? Because Revivify, or you know what, Revivify doesn't specifically say it only works on humanoids, but I think Raise Dead, or there is a reviving spell that only works on humanoids. I'm pretty sure Revivify works on anything.
I think if you take out the Necromancer and you get the undead like soul out of them, like kill them again, I would let you do it.
But okay, maybe we limit it though, so you have to. It still has to be within a minute of your death.
Of your death. Yes,
yeah, so
I would say that too.
Yeah, so if you try and revivify a zombie, that's not going to work.
Yeah, if you do it after the zombie comes back.
So there's the trick. You have to see your friend die, then fight them, win, and revive them in that minute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dark. That's real dark.
So undead are really cool. I love them to death. I haven't gotten to run a whole lot of undead, but I've played against a good bit of undead, and I like them a lot. As well as giants. Like, I mean, giants have a special place in my heart. I don't think I like giants more than dragons, because even my giant campaign was focused around a dragon. And I just think dragons are so cool, man.
Well, the thing about giants is that they seem really cool, but they're not a creature type with a lot of special abilities that you can, throw in there. They all pretty much function the same way, and then storm giants throw lightning.
Yeah, I mean, cloud giants have a lot of spells.
That's true, and there are, in Volos, they added the variant giants, like Mouth of Grolantor. They have their confusion sort of thing. So there are interesting giants fire giant dreadnoughts. Even, it's just a big guy that hits you, but you don't want him to hit you.
Tower shields and like a 23 AC.
Yeah,
like, those things are tough. The frost giant everlasting one is cool, but they are in lore. They are very much lone wolves, so you have to have the right level party to fight one. Because they're
2-headed ones.
Yeah, the 2-headed frost giant that was cast out. It's like they made a deal with the wrong god, and they got all the power they wanted. They are like one of the strongest frost giants, but they're solo because they got kicked out of the tribe. Let's see, the cloud giant, the masked ones. What are they called?
Those are scary. I don't like those.
I can't think of it.
Yeah, they're super cool. No, because Quintessence the storm giant.
Yeah, Storm Giant Quintessent, Stone Giant Dreamwalker.
Oh, those are so cool too. Yeah, no, I love the variant giants. I think we have a lot of good giants. I am extremely excited for this giant book that's coming out in 2023. You better believe that's going to be pre-ordered in my pocket, because the second that happens, we might have to just come back around and do like a Storm King's one-off or something like that.
Yeah.
Or what would be cool is to base it around the characters from Storm Kings, and you guys all play like Goliath siblings or something like that for one of the tribes or something.
That could be cute.
How cool would that be? Like, you play a group of Goliaths that does just some silly stuff.
We're all these little children Goliaths. We're following around like our dad's stone giant, but we're all different variants of the Goliath. Like, there's a fire Goliath, there's like a storm Goliath, and we're just trying to like kiss up to dad, like, oh please dad, pay attention to me.
Okay, but no matter what, I'm gonna be the barbarian that throws things.
Oh, you have
that
to.
We saw in Unearthed Arcana. That's definitely gonna be in that.
What if there's like a meeting between all the different leaders of the giant of the different like groups of giants, and like Sarissa is bringing them all in to like talk to them, and you guys are all, you know, children there watching what things that are going on as Goliaths, or you're just, you know, certain ones that you could be guards, or maybe the four or five of you are going on a mission for this like summit that's happening. I don't know. I think a giant summit all based around them would be really fun whenever this book comes out.
Oh, no. Now I want to be a Goliath who's actually just a giant who got made small. He's
That's
like
kind of
small
fun.
he's cursed or something, and like his whole, and then of course you have to be a rune knight to make that character work. So at 17th level or whenever they get it, he finally turns huge again, and like that's the end of the character arc.
They get huge at 17.
Yeah, eventually.
That's crazy. Oh man, I love giants. I love them. I love them to death. But I always just think of the frost giant immediately. It's like they're the coolest one. Definitely.
The thing is, their stat blocks are the lamest ones
I
because
know.
they are their culture is amazing. Like they are the coolest ones, I admit. But
Pun intended.
yeah, they just like they're super muscular. They're like the super muscular ones that fight for the top. Like the guy in charge is the strongest one. The second someone gets stronger than him and they fight him and beat him, they're in charge now.
Which is sick because they're all giants already, you know. But the coolest thing about them, and I don't want to like harp on it too much, but the it's that they're so like primitive. I think of frost giants
They're
as
barbarians,
basically giant barbarians, is what they are. But
Or
I
Vikings.
also think of them as
Vikings, that's way
outdoorsmen, right? So I imagine these frost giants have like giant saber-toothed tigers that fight alongside them, or dire wolves that they keep as pets. Like I love the idea that when you go to a town or like a village or whatever it may be of frost giants, that it's like World 4 in Mario, where everything is just super blown up and it's sick. You know, like that's what I imagine. I think frost giants.
Hey,
but-
you guys never went and saw the frost giant base, so you know maybe they do have that kind of
didn't.
stuff.
Well, I just gave you some ideas, Seth. Use them.
So I've got a question for you. Both of you guys, not just you, Drew. Just though I was making
Just
eye contact
me.
with you, yeah. So there are so many different creature types. Let's say I'm a new DM. What do you think your recommendation is for like a low level party? What kind of creatures should I be throwing at my players?
Well, I'm always going to be partial to starting, especially if it's a first-time campaign. Like, you know, let your players play basic D&D races. You know, let's go back to the basics. Let's not pick out 4 books and great, someone's playing a plasmoid in Waterdeep on their first session. My favorite ones, like as far as first-time villains, would have to be either other humans. I think other humans are a great intro to the game, especially like just you know how to talk to them, you know there's problems going on, like introduce them to a small town where they like everyone there, have them solve a problem for the people, maybe against like some goblins or some kobolds, you know, basic enemies, and then have them fight some other humans, like get some corruption out of a city or a town.
Well, yeah. So humanoids. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was fishing for, and I think I agree. I feel like almost every D&D adventure starts with either you're battling humanoids, or if not, then you will be shortly. Once you get like later in level, I almost feel like battling a bunch of humanoids is less common, just because there's a lot of cool, big, powerful monsters that show up. And that's not to say humanoids can't get super high in CR and be a worthy, opponent to throw at a high-level party. But you almost want to save, like, the super powerful humans to be, like, the bad guy, not a bunch of high-level humanoids to fight. Unless maybe you're doing, like, Out of the Abyss and, you're fighting drow left and right, and that's all you got.
Which I think drow are fine because they're humanoid types, but I will agree with you that humans are, they're simple enough at a lower level to use. But I do feel like you can fight humans, first of all, in real life, but also in any video game you play, any sort of card game, that kind of thing. That stuff happens, right? I think as a first-time player, I want things to be very black and white and simple for you. Right? I don't want you to think too hard. I don't want you to have to question the morals of the other players or the people that you're going up against. I want you as a humanoid, because I don't want it to be complicated. I want you to go up against something that is distinctly evil. A small devil, a small demon. It's stealing children from their beds out of the town.
Rampaging a town.
Yes, exactly. Something simple. And the giant, he should very simply be a large man wielding a tree that he swings around, or a large stick, a club of some sort. He throws rocks, right? The idea of
A
just,
troll.
Not even just the capital G giants, but also ogres, half ogres, trolls. Any giant kin are also especially good for low level parties. I'd say that a giant might even be a little more mid level because
a barbaric orc tribe that has ogres working for them.
There you go.
That works.
Yeah,
That's perfect enough. It doesn't have to be the full-fledged thing.
hobgoblins.
It could be a minimized version, But there's a million options there. I just want when that first-time player steps away from the table, and it took a lot to get them there. They had to make a lot of decisions. They had to drive
They
somewhere,
had to sit down and make a character with you and
make
not
a
get bored.
character. They had to do all that stuff. And so when they leave that table, I don't want them to go to anyone else and say, "Hey, we fought some guys, got in a cool sword fight." I want them to say, "Guys, we saw a dragon." It's Dungeons and Dragons, boys. Let's go. I want something epic to happen. So right off the bat, I think it should be very black and white and simple, but also the enemy, that needs to be very specific.
Yeah, maybe hint towards something like that. Like hint towards there's a dragon there, or something like, oh, you see something fly overhead. It's got like white scales and it flies off into the sunset. But it's like, oh, what is that? Is that like hinting towards something? All right, we'll pick up next week.
Yeah,
How's it going?
I'll also say beasts. Typically, beasts just encompass, real animals that exist in the world, but there are also things like giant spiders, which are super iconic in fantasy, or, even if we want to dip into monstrosities, I think monstrosities are probably the best low to mid-level monster that you could throw.
Wargs.
Yeah, exactly. You just plop them into any situation, and, you've got wargs, you've got, a bullet, you've got carrion crawlers, you got... any number of these, owl bears, these fantastical creatures that you have no bones about. No one's gonna say, "Oh, we can't kill it. It's friendly," unless it's a really cute owl bear. They seem to be leaning towards that as of late. But even like displacer beasts, those sorts of monsters are all perfect for.
Yeah,
all right.
Hydra.
Please, it's a dragon. I think.
Is it? I don't know. I thought it was a monstrosity.
It might be a monstrosity. If it's not a dragon, it should be, but now that I think about it, it might be a monstrosity.
I think it should be a dual type, like we talked about before.
Yeah,
I like
a
it.
monster dragon.
Monster dragon. Just brief little story. I do remember a very long time ago when I was running a session, and as players do, they get pets, right? They'll find a stray cat, or even if you're running a new player, they might say, "Hey, can I have like a little squirrel that follows me around?" Or the I believe it's the charlatan background that gives you a small mouse that you get to keep with you. So the idea of like having companions is very, very cool.
Please, that's the urchin background.
Absolutely.
I'm terrible. I'm a terrible player.
That's definitely the most common animal companion that we see in D&D for sure. Like even more than Beastmaster Ranger, because who would play that? It's
No one
just
would do
it's
that.
just the friggin' little mouse that you get.
But speaking of I think a giant ape is a beast, I want to say.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
a monstrosity. After a little while and they grew accustomed to the game, I wanted to throw something a little stronger at them. So I had them fight this giant red ape, and they ignored the signs because they snuck up on it, punched it in the butt, which didn't end well. But they ended up fighting it, and they didn't do the outside quest per se, which was to realize that it was actually a mother, and that nearby there was a bunch of little baby ones, which was terrible and horribly sad at the end. But I put them there in a very specific reason, because they were heading to a nearby town where they had heard that this town, which is where one of the players was from, was getting attacked or was having some problems with creatures in the forest. So I love the idea, like surely my players that try to get companions out of everything and bring things home and have extra horses and all that kind of stuff would take these little baby red apes to the town and raise them. They did it. They left them in the cave.
Well, that has to come back to them. You imagine in the future that it comes back to those adventurers, and those apes grow up and they remember.
Yeah, I'd like
and
to
they
think
terrorize that town.
They destroy the town. Oh,
They
that'd be
destroy
terrible.
parts of the town, and maybe one of them dies, and the others end up winning, or like whatever. Or everybody evacuates the town because the apes took it over.
No, you know what I want is that a druid came by and decided to awaken one of them, and like becomes that druid's companion for the longest time.
And that druid was like, man, I hate these guys.
or not even that. Like you hear about this is like an arch druid. They're some world renowned whatever. It turns out you need the specific item for the spell that you need to cast to get to the next thing. We got to go talk to that druid. But the second you get there, you meet his vindictive, revenant-like anger from this intelligent ape, and he goes ballistic on you. And that druid's not going to stop him. He's his friend.
That's a really good plot twist right there, actually.
I like that.
So you should have done that.
Yeah, Drew.
I've taken the notes, Zach. I have successfully been sat down. I'm sitting.
So, one more thing before we wrap up the show. Lately, there's been a lot of controversy in the D&D space, and I kind of wanted to speak on it a little bit, and it has to do with the open game license for one D&D. Now, the open game license is a license that creators can sign, so that way, and it's been a part of 5e in the past, so that way you can freely create things and sell it, and you don't owe anything to Wizards of the Coast, but it's basically the rules as written for what you're allowed to do. There are certain things under those rules, especially like other game content. You just can't use anything that's specifically like trademarked by Wizards of the Coast. So like you can't have a Displacer Beast in your, like you can't have the exact creature, the Displacer Beast, in your written stuff, like your written content, because that is a creature that Wizards of the Coast owns. But what you can have is like your own new stat blocks for stuff. Like you can have a goblin ranger, and it has a name and it's got its own thing. You can make up stuff and you can try new stuff and you can use the creature types, all of that. You just can't have their specific stuff. So when it comes to that, and everybody kind of like really likes the open game license as it currently is. Like it's probably got its problems. I don't know everything about it. But
and it's also what allows people to like go onto DM's Guild and write their own Dungeons and Dragons content, and sell that for profit.
Run Kickstarters for $1 million for its like own so that way you can make your own module, your own games, everything like that. It's a very nice thing for a creator to have, because like when you make a video game, you don't just leave the code out there and say, here's my open game code most of the time. I mean, there are games that have done that, who have like let it open for the modding community, like especially Bethesda does this with a lot of their games like Skyrim, Fallout. They're just like, yeah, mod whatever you want and we'll put it there because it's fun to see.
Yeah, the Source Engine, great example.
The Source Engine. Yeah, exactly. Wizards of the Coast has kind of outline what they're going to be adding into their new one. And it's relatively the same and user-friendly, except for one big rule. And it's going to hurt not small creators like you and I, but it might hurt people like Critical Role, Kobold Press, anybody who makes a large Kickstarter and it does really well.
I guarantee you it's not going to hurt Critical Role, but it might hurt the next Critical Role.
Well, it won't hurt them a lot. They're going to lose money from it, though, is what I mean. Like it's going to benefit Wizards of the Coast a lot, because they're going to be profiting off of big creators' work now. What it is basically if you make $50,000 or more with your D&D creation, and that means you're required to tell them your like whatever your bottom line is. If you make $50,000 or more, you are required to report that to Wizards of the Coast, and a royalty will be taken out for whatever you've created. So if you're a small creator, they're letting you off, no royalties. Like you're making less than $50,000 on your thing, keep your money. You probably need it. But with if you're making more than $50,000, they're considering that like you're very successful. So people who make a lot of money on there are going to be paying royalties to Wizards of the Coast from now on, which that sucks a little bit, like because that didn't happen before, and I think it didn't happen. Like I understand it, because they would like to make some money on like their game whenever such large people are promoting it, but at the same time, their game it's greatly attributed, I think, to the amount of growth they've had as of late. But they wouldn't have that growth had like people like Critical Role and Kobold Press not promoted it so much. Like their game would not be where it is right now without those people already doing their thing. So I don't know. I'm of two minds on it where I'm like, do you really deserve the royalty? Because you didn't do the work. Like, you made the game, but like these people made the game popular.
Yeah, I think that was probably the intention of the open game license all along, though. If you think about it as a business decision, I mean, obviously, it was built to encourage people to engage with the hobby,
right,
and to get more people on board. And if you can make a little money doing that, and contributing intellectually to the the shared intellectual space of the game, it's getting more people talking about it. It's getting more engagement with that. So that's a good thing. But ultimately, the goal of that engagement is then to get the revenue. So we've got a large, untapped reservoir of these, highly successful companies that are not officially licensed by Wizards of the Coast. So it makes complete sense that they're doing this, but it sure does stink because it's not as rosy and easy for someone to do that. And I think probably in the short term, this is going to impact a lot of creators to either leave Dungeons and Dragons and create unique intellectual property that touch on the same itch a lot more. I mean, we see plenty of different TTRPGs that are out there. D&D is not the only one, so
it's just the one that everybody plays.
Right,
like
right.
I think the
most popular,
probably like 80-90% of the TTRPG community is Dungeons and Dragons, which is a lot of people.
I guess it just feels like a confusing move to me, because if they're going to be charging these people that are making so much money, what they're doing is they're imploring these people to create their own unique things, like we discussed.
Right. See, this is if Critical Role signs it, right?
Well, that's true, and I'm not talking just Critical Role and anybody per se, but they're pushing these people to make their own things. So if they're making their own creatures, they're not using D&D's content, which is kind of counterintuitive.
Well, now they're using their rule sets and stuff, though. That's the thing. They are using their game as the base layer.
Right. So the open game license specifically says you can use 5e as a base, and you can write your unofficial whatever and sell it using all of the the framework that we established for you. Which that's a huge jumping on point versus telling someone to learn a whole new system. Instead, you say, "Oh, it's like D&D 5e. You've played that? Yeah. Okay. Well, then you don't have to learn anything new."
I guess where it gets really interesting then is how do they draw the line of what 5e or D&D is, right? Because I would argue at our table, if you want to look at it technically, we don't really play D&D 5e. We do a lot of things that aren't in the game. We use things like props. We have all of our homebrew rules. I'm running a Christmas one-off tomorrow that has everything homebrewed in it. There's nothing from the game itself, right, as far as creatures
except
go.
all of our characters, the character sheets, the stat blocks.
Character
right.
sheets.
And we're not selling it is the thing.
No, it's true. I just feel like it's maybe, I don't know exactly how they would fight it per se. I think it would be hard to make it stick, that if you're using variant rules, that you'd be playing D&D. Right? You could modify anything in the game, and you could argue that it's not. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to enforce it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but that was one of the big things that came out of it. I don't have a massive opinion on it because I don't know if I'll ever get to be a creator that has to go through that process. Like we talk about D&D 5e. I don't even know if this isn't considered on it because we're not like we're not part of the game. We're not making a game or anything here related to it.
No.
So we're just a podcast that talks about it. We don't owe them anything.
We also talked about Sonic for 40 minutes last week, so I think it overrides.
I might need to contact Sega.
Hey, Sonic team, I'm so sorry. We talked about your show. Here's the $1 we made.
Please, Good Old Gamer is a great patron.
Good old gamer.
I think we're still in the red, though.
Yeah, probably.
Not to out us to everyone, but we do this because we love it, and we love you guys.
That's true. So, yeah, as far as the open game license goes, that's a little bit of drama. There have been a lot of people making videos about it and talking about it and how this is like either a good or a bad or like a kind of neutral move by them. I did watch an interesting video this past week about someone that was really hating on 1D&D and like the direction they're heading. Like she, and I'm not going to say the creator's name, was just going hard about how bad it's going to be for the community. And it was almost like like just doomsaying it, but because I'm not going to say it's the best. I think it's just going to be an evolution, like a really big evolution. What she mainly talked about in her video was like how D&D is going to become like using their, their digital workspace that they have, where it's like, everything 1D&D related is going to be on the website. You can go into their thing. It basically like having an iPhone. They want to lock you into their website with like D&D Beyond, and like, they're going to sell you the miniatures digitally on there. You're going to be giving like microtransactions basically over and over again. And yeah, and that's going to largely affect the DMs, because DMs are like, 10-20% of the people that play D&D, and we're the biggest spenders because we have to own all the stuff, right? So she was talking about that, and she did this really long bit about like how capitalistic it's going to be, basically in there, like, oh, it's going to be like buying an iPhone and like not being able to get off it because all your stuff is there. Like, oh man, you might want to try something new, or you might want to use a different rule set, but you can't because you're locked into this system. And I did understand it. I was like, yeah, that would suck for me to want to play Pokemon 5e, but I can't do it because I don't have a Pikachu miniature in 1D&D. But what's stopping me? I could use pieces and just, say it.
Right, and they're still selling the books physically. I don't think anyone's going to come to your house and say, hey, you got to stop playing this in-person D&D.
Yeah.
You got to use our virtual tabletop and spend like no. I think if anything, there's definitely going to be a push toward that direction, but I don't think your home game is going to be horribly affected. And Roll20 will still exist. Tailspire will still exist.
Yeah, those options will be open if you want to be creative. It's just, are we pushing the idea of being creative in that direction or not?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with having all sorts of microtransactions and opportunities and resources that you can take advantage of. But as all of us have done tons of homebrew and started from the bottom in this game, you can still play however you want, right? You don't need all these things until we're being forced to only play D&D on 5e. D&D Beyond, like it's not realistic, right? We could do whatever we want. I don't think it's a big deal, but it does feel a little bit like a bite in the hand that feeds you sort of thing. But we'll see. We'll see.
It does feel like D&D Beyond is becoming like, for a lot of people, this is their base. Like they're going on D&D Beyond, they're going off of a subscription on there, or like buying a character or something and making their character through D&D Beyond, and that's great for people who don't want to sit down and make a character sheet. We have a specific brand of D&D, and other people are going to have their own brands. Like some tables might just be, and I'm sure someone listening right now is the person who who uses D&D Beyond for everything, opens up their character sheet, chooses the options they want, and it fills itself out for you, so you don't have to do it. That's awesome. Like, I love that it does that for you, because that means that you don't have to do all the hard work of, it's great that whenever people like us understand proficiency and understand every single skill and know where to put the numbers, but please make it more simple so people don't have to think about all of that stuff. The reason that TCRPGs are so difficult is because they're hard to understand.
Yeah, as a veteran player, it still takes me, 1 to 2 hours every time I make a character. It doesn't matter what level they are.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that time is just spent, writing shit on my character sheet and remembering, okay, well, how does this work at this level? What's the deal? Blah, blah, blah. Let me cross-reference and fill out all this menial info where, the computer would do that instantly. It'd probably take me like 20 minutes.
So I guess that's where I have a big question, right? We're talking and we're hearing all about this growing community. It's growing, and bigger, bigger, bigger. We saw this new content. We have the new movie coming out, right? It definitely feels like D&D is at its height. All these new players, are they starting off like we did, kind of just reading a book and working out with your friends? Or are most people flocking to things like D&D Beyond that do the job for them at first because they don't know? I'm genuinely curious.
They are doing whatever the nearest DM they can find knows. Because you know what? I've been hearing a lot, and I've seen videos about this too. There's a DM shortage, especially in New York. Like, there's so many people, specifically in New York, who want to play D&D, and there's like tons of stuff going on, and there are not enough DMs. I was thinking, I was like, I should move to New York and make money. Like, I'll just go there and be like, hey, DM over here, $100 a session, $100.
We'll
for
DM
one session.
for money.
We'll DM, just give me money. Yeah, no. Flocking to the digital space is one thing. I love the in-person way of D&D, and one day we are going to have to change that, guys. Like, we're not. Yes, we are not all going to be here forever. It's just not possible.
Nope. You're wrong.
It's not possible. It's not feasible. We will be digital one day, and that's gonna suck. I will still have my cool studio with all my miniatures up. Like, no matter what, I am going to make that happen. But yeah, one day we're not going to be able to all be in the same place with all our stuff, and we will be digital players, and that's going to be different. But it might be good different, you know, different type of immersion. So I don't know where people are ending up. We'll see. But needless to say, thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. This has been a wonderful episode. We didn't even do like the full intro today where I got to say these are my boys and like you know, how are you doing today?
You know who we are.
So anyways, you can find us on tons of different platforms, but the most important one is patreon.com/tabletalkfriday, where Good Old Gamer is our producer for the week and, well, the month in general. So love Good Old Gamer. You're great. Thanks for sticking around and checking out those post shows like the one we're going to record right after this. You can also find us on TikTok at Table Talk Friday, on YouTube at Table Talk Friday, and Twitter at Table Talk Friday, where I have not tweeted in a while because that place is wild right now. It is the Wild West, and we do not have a blue check mark, so you don't know if we're real or not. Thank you so much, and can I please have the Yugoloth? Neutral evil, take me out.
Oh, well, that'd be me. I'm actually, my name is Harry. I'm a Mesoloth, but you wouldn't tell that by looking at me. I've got a very nice complexion. So anyway, it's my job to close out the show, which I'd say is its own kind of evil in a way, because I know you want to keep listening. But you know, if you give me some time, I will pull out your eyes, and it will be painful, so you probably don't want that. So, anyway, we'll stick to the first evil, and I'll see you next time on Table Talk Friday. You have a good night now.